New shipping route linking Russia and 3 provinces in China opens. SA tourism records a significantly higher number of BRICS tourists arriving in the country. BGTN joins hands with Homeless Talk newspaper. And South African marathon runners gear up for the 2024 Comrades Marathon. I'm Juliet Newell with your BGTN Weekly News Roundup. On its 30th anniversary, the mining indaba recently held in Cape Town, South Africa, focused on attracting investment and exploring new ways of mining. The mining industry faces many challenges that continue to be ignored at big conferences like the indaba, or even mentioned in passing. Despite 30 years, regulatory policies to address illegal mining have still not been established.
The African mining indaba joined industry stakeholders to exchange ideas and showcase industry capabilities. Various industry-leading companies from within the African continent and the global community at large showcased their latest mining equipment and technologies, giving them an opportunity to meet potential investors and share knowledge.
Illegal mining is a war on the economy. Hence, the president made a point that the police and special unit of the police, backed up by the defense force, are fighting illegal mining because we've categorized it correctly as a criminal activity.
The African people need to come together and speak together and find what the problem is and get the resolution, and solution.
This event attracts a huge number of investors, giving a platform for deal-making opportunities, industry-leading discussions, and business-changing connections.
It's a beautiful platform, and I think this is what Africa needs to move forward. The discussions that were taking place are critical for development, they are critical for skilling, they are also critical for research. And so, I find that, the organization was quite well.
Being here, seeing so many young people really inspired me, particularly the conversations being had around mining, looking at sustainability, looking at how can communities benefit from the mining that takes place there. And really just seeing all the innovation, the AI, the technologies going into growing the industry on our continent. And just very inspired seeing all the investors and industry giants here. I've definitely learned a lot.
It was a big opportunity for our country, DRC. It was a place where many countries meet here for deal about business, about opportunity in mining. It was a very, very big meeting, a very, very big summit here at Indaba Mining at South Africa.
The mining indaba attracts industry professionals and thought leaders from all over the world, inviting them to join hands in improving the sector for the benefactor of the economy. Kaka Ngofe, BGTN, Cape Town, South Africa.
African leaders have continuously called for a halt in exporting Africa's raw materials to boost trade, but the continent still lacks the capabilities to process its minerals. Ingam Zileni spoke to David van Wyk, who is a lead researcher from Benchmark Foundation.
How far are we as a country with refining our own minerals to boost export value?
This is another problem that we are having. We produce something like 80 to 90% of the world's manganese. We have more than 80 to 90% of the world's manganese, an incredibly important mineral in a just transition to alternative energy. But we export most of it. We are not actually adding value to it in South Africa. About 90% of it just gets exported raw. This is also the case with platinum and platinum group metals. It's also the case with coal and so on. Most of it gets exported. And the people who benefit from it are the people who own the mines. And you can't really tell a mine to add value to a mineral if that mine belongs to a foreign investor. It doesn't belong to South Africa or the people of South Africa.
Many of the major issues that are plaguing the mining industry are not being discussed at conferences like the Indaba, and one would expect that, especially because the president did mention the issue of zamazamas just in passing, not really in detail, and opening a platform for some of the participants to give word and weigh in on the issue?
You know, the mining in Indaba is really about, it's not really about sustainability. It's not really about mitigating environmental and social impact. It's about attracting investment into the country. Now, you know, the situation in platinum and gold is not very attractive. Then on top of that, what makes South Africa unattractive is that the railway system is broken down and the port system is not coping with the exports of minerals. You know, the ports are overloaded and they are not functioning very well. And then, of course, there is the issue of load shedding, which also makes it very difficult to operate a large-scale mine.
Nearly 20,000 tons of coal imported from Russia has arrived in Port Longkou in East China's Jiangsu province, marking the official opening of a new shipping route between China and Russia. According to Xinhua Silk Road, this marks the launch of yet another multimodal logistics and transportation channel. In August 2022, the European Union imposed restrictions on coal products exported from Russia, including a ban on their transportation to third-party countries, further isolating Moscow from the rest of the world. With the new shipping route now in place, part of Russian coal imports will now be unloaded at Longkou port and distributed to surrounding areas, as well as the economic zone in the west part of Shandong. Tourism South Africa says 8.5 million international tourists visited the country last year. That's a staggering 49% increase from the previous year. New favourable visa policies and arrivals from BRICS countries have boosted the tourism industry. South Africa's Tourism Minister, Patricia de Lille, says the recovery can be attributed to consistent efforts to showcase South Africa as a welcoming, responsible tourism destination. Our correspondent, Inga Mzileni, spoke to the minister. Here's the interview.
Minister, I basically have two questions, and I thank you so much for joining us. Looking at the report of an increase in the number of BRICS visitors, almost 50% since last year. Now, I want to know, was this due to the fact that South Africa was the host of the BRICS conference? Have you been seeing a continuous rise in the number of tourists that come from BRICS countries?
Yes, certainly the BRICS summit was part of the reason why we've seen the increase. But over and above that, we have signed memorandums of understanding with the BRICS countries. And therefore, we've seen, especially from Brazil, we've seen a 74% increase, because as part of an MOU, we are doing joint marketing. We've also seen a direct flight from SAA from Cape Town and Johannesburg to Sao Paulo, because the air access, if that is improved, it also helps us to increase the numbers. From Russia, we've seen about a 74% increase. And part of both Russia and Brazil advantage is that they qualify for a 90-day visa up to 90 days. And with the air access and the visa regime, it does help, to bring tourists from Russia, but also to take South Africans out to Russia and Brazil. We've seen a major increase in India of about 43%, and from China, we've seen a 205% increase.
We'll be back just after the break.
Coming soon on BRICS Global Television.
You donated your kidney to a stranger. So can you talk us through how that came about?
The story actually starts with a Facebook post, interestingly. Samantha put out a message to her father that they were looking for a kidney for her father. And unfortunately, none of their family members were a viable match for him. And they were turning outwards to try to find someone to come forward to say goodbye. And when I saw the message, just something resonated, and like the little light bulb. And I thought to myself, maybe that's something that I could do.
Welcome back. You're watching BRICS Global Television Network. Up next, we look at BRICS Health. The lack of awareness about childhood cancers getting in the way of addressing the illness adequately. Reports show that annually around 400,000 children from the age of 0 to 19 years of age develop cancer worldwide.
The early warning signs, we call them the Saint Silouan warning signs. Saint Silouan was an Orthodox monk who prayed on Mount Athos for humanity. So the S stands for seek help early. The I is for any unusual changes in the eye. For example, a new squint or a bulging eye, or the child can't see through that eye. The L is for lumps that are not going away. They don't have to be painful. They could be painless lumps. They may be growing, but they're not going away. The U is for unexplained fever and loss of weight. The A is for aching bones. And the N is for any neurological changes in the child. Perhaps the child could crawl and cannot crawl. Perhaps the child could walk and stops walking, or stops speaking, or has a weakness in one side of the body or the face.
BRICS countries will soon be able to diagnose, recommend and dispense traditional medicine through the internet, even the most remote areas. Following a recent study, China's revealed that the use of traditional medicine accounts for more than 30% of the nation's health budget. Beijing's now ready to share the newly developed artificial intelligence technology with Africa and BRICS nations through the Africa-China AI Medics project. Inga Mzileni reports.
In many countries, traditional medicine is embedded in the culture, heritage, and daily lives, yet it is largely removed from technology. But in China, health experts have developed an artificial intelligence system to make it easier to diagnose, recommend, and dispense traditional medicine, even in the most remote areas. All that is required is online access.
We started deployment in 2017, and in the World Health Organization and World Bank and Chinese Ministry of Health pilot project in China. And in just 1 year, the cost saving for insurance, government insurance, is 12%. The doctor's income improved from 1.5% to even a quadruple the income, because they can see patients with, it's like a super doctor system at your hand.
The World Health Organization issued a mandate from 2014 to 2023 for member states to establish policies and to regulate the traditional medicine sector in their respective countries. It is estimated to be worth 2.9 billion rand annually in South Africa and accounts for 40% of China's health budget.
The department is developing a policy on traditional medicine for South Africa. So the policy will serve as an enabler for the department to include traditional medicine in the primary healthcare level.
South Africa is still in its early stages of the implementation of the World Health Organization's mandate on integration of traditional medicine into primary healthcare. And the nation's approach to the mandate focuses on 3 areas. That is the product, the practitioner, and the practice. China is a global leader in the manufacturing and distribution of traditional medicine.
Here, it's how it comes from the farm. It's a raw herb, dried. We also have it in a form of powder, yeah. We also have it in a form of shot, yeah. For some people do not like the taste of the herb and stuff. So when it's in a form of shot, yeah, it's mixed with other preservatives and also things that give it a taste.
In South Africa, this herb's root has medicinal value and is very common. This Zulu shaman, who has asked to remain anonymous, explains the uses of Panax extratum, also known as ubuvimba in isiZulu.
We use the herb to heal ailments associated with lungs, like asthma, and when mixed with other herbs, we use it to flush out toxins from the body and improve blood circulation. Based on its name, ubuvimba, which means block, we mix it with other herbs to get rid of bad energies.
Traditional medicine is widely used by different cultures here in South Africa. But unlike India and China, there's very little knowledge and study of this form of medicine. The information is reserved for the sacred traditional medicine practitioner. Inga Msileni, BGTN in Johannesburg. More than 10,000 residents of Madihlokwa in Northwest have been without water for 6 weeks.
There are people that when they drink that water, they have stomach cramps.
Teresa Mine is supplying water to the people of Madihlokwa, but sadly it's contaminated by what appears to be chrome. Officials deny that there is a problem with the water.
I don't have facts, written facts or a proven facts.
Contamination.
Or you call it.
The levels of contamination in the water, and you say you drink this water.
Yes.
I'm actually quite concerned also for your health if you drink water that is contaminated to these levels. The ward councillor says at least 7 tanks of fresh water is needed to help boost supply.
Welcome back. You're watching BRICS Global TV Network. India has signed 3 loan agreements with the new development bank to help the country fast-track infrastructure development in the areas of transport, water and sanitation. India is one of BRICS' fastest-growing economies, but it's facing developmental challenges. The loans will speed up the development of the Delhi-Meerut-Ghaziabad regional rapid transit system that's costing just short of $3.8 million. The 82.15-kilometer rapid railway is expected to significantly reduce Delhi's traffic congestion. The publication Homeless Talk newspaper was established in 1994, and now we'll hear from the editor and vendors as they share stories of how the newspapers managed to empower many people through employment and income generation. In a groundbreaking partnership, Homeless Talk newspaper and BGTN have joined forces to bring the heart of local news to the television screen.
In the heart of a vibrant community in South Africa's City of Gold, a thrilling project unfolds. BGTN is joining hands with the nation's Homeless Talk newspaper.
Established 30 years ago, just as South Africa heralded in the democracy and marked the end of apartheid, the newspaper Homeless Talk was set up. Mainly funded by donations and grants, it was the initiative of the Johannesburg Trust for the Homeless.
The newspaper is a platform to help the homeless people and the unemployed people. As we see now that the unemployment situation is very high, and most people, they get no jobs. Mostly the people who have not get much education. Yes, it's very tough for them. So we help them to make a living.
Homeless Talk successfully highlights issues of poverty and neglect, while empowering hundreds of vendors through employment. BGTN, along with local newspapers, provides valuable training for aspiring journalists, practical experience, networking opportunities, mentorship, and a chance to develop a diverse skill set while serving their communities is the vision of the paper. Homeless Talk has helped shape the future of many, especially the layout designer, Sindisiwe Dlamini. She has been fully trained by the newspaper and hopes that studying further as a graphic designer will open new career opportunities for her.
Mr. Luke sent me stories via email, so I'm the one who has to arrange whether I put the pic this side or that side. I started in 2018 as a data capturer. It's very exciting for me because at the moment I'm unemployed, so I just feel like I'm employed. And I enjoy doing this work so much. I even decided to do a course on graphic design. Yeah, the challenges that we are facing right now is money. Right now we need sponsors to sponsor us with a shelter, because now we are paying rent and we're not earning much for rent.
Sandton, known as Africa's richest square mile, is where we find Justice, a homeless talk vendor. This is not his real name, and he asked not to show his face. Typically, his day starts at 6 a.m. and until 3 in the afternoon, he tries to sell the newspaper to motorists. But his work has become much more difficult, with his earning potential at an all-time low. From once selling 400 copies a month, he now barely manages to sell a quarter of that number.
Can you say homeless talk?
I started selling homeless talk newspaper in 1999. In the earlier years, the sales were much better than now. Selling the newspaper helped me put my children through school. Since COVID-19, we have experienced less sales of the newspaper.
I assist vendors by stocking homeless newspaper for them, and I started in 2022. For the situation of homeless talk to improve, the newspaper needs sponsors and advertisers.
Unfortunately, Homeless Talk has not been able to recover from COVID-19 restrictions and lockdowns. It continues to face multiple difficulties, from a print run of 25,000 copies 6 years ago to only 5,000 now. The pandemic left many homeless, and those that already were even more destitute. Households dependent on unskilled labor income suffered the most. Work opportunities dried up, increasing poverty levels and damaging the economy. Our team went out to Denville, a suburb in Pretoria, South Africa's administrative capital. The latest census results, released by Statistics South Africa in 2023, reveal that the city is home to just over 18% of the national homeless population.
My name is Peter Mutlamani, and originally I'm from Atteridgeville Township. When I started living on the street of Denville, I was fully able. I got injured shortly after I started living on the street. People do come and assist me with food, but it's not often. I try to hustle for myself to get clothes. I do not receive a social grant, and I have 2 kids, but I'm not happy living under such conditions.
What goes on inside a family is also important. Substance abuse, domestic violence, and breakdowns in relationships can also lead to homelessness.
I grew up in total poverty. My father hit my mother, he didn't work. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's because I was raped on 13 that I became sick. But since then, that's who I am. I cannot change. I try. I get jobs. I don't keep them long. I fall out of the bus. So you understand what I say? So that's hardship. That's my life. All my life I've been here. And that's it. I'm from here. I was born here. I was raised here. And I ended up on the street here. It's hard when people step on you, especially. Yeah. I've got very wealthy brothers. They look down upon me. They don't look to help me.
It is heartbreaking to think about homeless mothers and children on the street. Mothers face immense challenges, but many do their best to cope and provide for their children.
My story started when I was schooling, and then I got a work depression, and then I didn't recover from that, and it caused epilepsy. So then it caused me not to be able to work and only be on the support of disability. So now, while that is still getting underway, the missing psychologist, I'm going through those treatments now, and I've been doing well.
Often the most neglected sector of society, Homeless Talk is an opportunity for people on the streets to tell their story in their own words. Together, we can make a positive impact in supporting Homeless Talk, ensure their continued existence.
Lebo Masike, BGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
In your world of sports, the journey to the 2024 Comrades Marathon's begun. Runners are out and about preparing for the world's greatest ultramarathon. Founded over 100 years ago in 1921, the 87-kilometer give or take run has seen more than 300,000 runners taking part over the years. 2019 champion Edward Motibi spoke to BGTN's Lebo Masike, and this interview is also available on our website www.BRICSGlobalTVNetwork.com.
My name is Edward Motibi. I am a Comrade champion. I won in 2019. My first run was 2018. That's when I first ran Comrade, and then I came fourth for the first time, and then the second one, that's when I won the Comrade. Now I'm gonna have to go back and try and defend my title. So I'm looking forward to it. So no matter if you call yourself a champ or whatever, don't go there say no, I will do the same. Rather focus on your training, do your training accordingly so that you can nail the race.
Rustenburg's really hot at this time of the year. Why do they train there?
That is so true, Juliet. So Rustenburg is at high altitude. As an athlete, if you're training at high altitude, delivering oxygen to the muscles become the key thing. So once you get to sea level, you end up cruising. So it's a strategy when it comes to why train at high altitude for most athletes. The Comrades Marathon this year takes place Sunday, the 9th of June. It's an up run. The start is in Durban, finishing off in Pietermaritzburg, approximately give or take 87 kilometers that the runners have to tackle on that Sunday. For me, having done both, I honestly have to say the up run is much easier. But you know, the thing with Comrades, Juliet, is that you need to pace yourself. If your training is on point on the day, listen to your body, pace yourself, don't do anything new, and you have to be extremely mentally strong. And the other exciting thing, most people always ask, you know, which country leads with the entries. This year they had kept entries at 23,000. We're looking at the majority being South Africans, but when it comes to BRICS countries, other BRICS countries, there's huge representation. India taking the lead at 341 entries, followed by Brazil at 141. So it's going to be quite an exciting Sunday.
And that's your BGTN Weekly News Roundup. See you next time.